Friday afternoon. Hope you're all having a good day. Hope it's been a good week for you. It's not been a bad week for Manchester United, as we've seen Leicester and Chelsea both drop points. And now United have the opportunity to at least leapfrog Chelsea and draw level with Leicester on points. Although, let's be honest, that plus 10 goal difference is a little bit of a hill to get over. But here's the crack, lads. It's in our hands, essentially. You know, if we beat Leicester, we're literally taking points away from them, but we have to better everybody else's record from here on in, and we're in there. It's very, 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 very close to being in our hands, and it could even be in our hands by the end of the weekend. United have to start this weekend by getting ourselves over that line and into the top four. Now, we can do that before Chelsea play, and then obviously we're going to have to hope that there's some dropped balls from Leicester and from Chelsea as well. But do you know what? I'm starting to believe we can do it. I'm starting to believe that this team has got it in themselves to do that. And also that we've got so many cup competitions as well. It's going to be an absolute banging end to the season, isn't it? I really can't wait. Let you know your thoughts. What's the script? Stephen Usher in the comments says, Steve, do we get a discount code for the away shirt if we're Paddock members? Yes, you do. I will put it in the Paddock Facebook members group tonight. Check it out. Loads of people have ordered, absolutely shitloads, to the point where I've told Umbro and they've kind of shit themselves a little bit. So enjoy that. But if you've pre-ordered, those are getting ordered today. So we'll be putting orders in every single Friday. So if you want to get in the mixer, that's what we are doing. And Paddock members and Patreon members can also get theirs this month, and everybody else has to wait until the 1st of August. It's a little bonus that you get. There's also a discount and the option for people to get the name and number on the back of it as well, which isn't going to be something that's available for everybody else. So if you like the new away shirt, check it out. If you've not seen it, well, I don't have it with me no more because it's been posted to someone, the only one that I had. So you'll just have to wait and see, won't you? Right then, let's talk about what Ole's been saying and some updates ahead of this weekend's game. Ole on what's so-called easy run. He said, I've seen lots of quotes saying that we have an easy run, but the next 5 games are against Bournemouth. We lost to them in the previous game. Villa, we drew to them at home. Southampton, who we drew to. We lost to Palace, we lost to West Ham. So there's teams that we've got a point to prove against, which is valid, but it's also 5 very winnable games, I think. On Mason, he said, Mason is way ahead of where I was at 18-19, that's for sure. Don't really want to say anything different because it's natural for him. It's what I felt I could do as well. There's a brilliant boy to work with. He keeps on learning and he keeps on making better decisions. He'll be good. And at rotation, which is why I've gone with the title I've gone with, he says, if there's a couple of changes, don't be surprised. Not because of fitness, but there are so many games and I have to look after the players. Worried about this because when we've rotated, we've looked well shit. So hopefully we don't have a repeat of what we saw against Norwich. Hopefully it's more of a couple of faces freshen up. Team news-wise, he said Jones has returned to training in a few weeks. Tuanzebe will miss the rest of the season. Ethan Laird has been drafted into the first-team squad as planned, but he won't feature against Bournemouth. I can tell you exactly where he's up to on that. On Thursday, Ethan had his coronavirus test. He said it touched his fucking brain. I don't think he enjoyed it too much. So I think he has to wait for the result of that to be given the all-clear, and then he'll join the rest of them in training. So he's only just had his test yesterday. So Ethan is going to be on the way into training, and I guess we'll find out at what point he is in the mixer. Angel Gomez, no longer available for selection after he left the club this week. I think there's going to be some news pretty soon about where he's going, so we'll keep it locked for that. Eddie Howe, talking about Bournemouth, has said, we've got a couple of players that we need to check. We'll see how they are before we name our squad. Callum Wilson, serving the final instalment of a 2-game suspension and isn't going to feature, which is good for United. Charlie Daniels and Simon Francis are still both absent as they recover from injuries. We obviously lost 1-0 earlier in the season, but we've won 6 out of 7 previous meetings, drawing one of the others. Bournemouth have never won at Old Trafford. I never like these stats. In 8 attempts, United have won 7 of those last meetings. We've won 11, Bournemouth have won 3, and we've also drawn 3 in our entire history. And Eddie Howe and Ole are tied on a game apiece. That was the 4-1 in Ole's first month in charge, and the 1-0 defeat earlier in the season. United are now 15 games unbeaten stretching all the way back to January with 11 wins and 4 draws. Since losing 2-0 to Burnley in January, United have scored 13 and haven't conceded a single goal at Old Trafford in 4 wins and 1 draw. Last 3 results have been some belting performances. Sheffield United and Brighton, obviously the highlights. Norwich, not so much, but we're in the hat, so that's all that matters. Here's what worries me, lads. Bournemouth have lost 6 of their last 7 games and sit 19th. This should be easy, shouldn't it? But why do I get the vibe that United are going to take this really complacently? They've lost 7 of their last away games and only scored twice. This is all stacking up for a fuck-up here, isn't it? 0-0. They haven't won away from home since December when they beat Chelsea 1-0 at the Bridge. Last 3 results, they're not good. Newcastle 4-1, which was a bit of a fucking. Lost 1-0 to Wolves, which was a little bit of a better performance. And 2-0 to Crystal Palace. They're fucking bad. And that's what worries me. If United can, as we've shown against Brighton, turn up for an hour, lever someone, and then bring on the reinforcements, and then make your changes, and then freshen it up a little bit, I'm happy. If that's not the case, I do worry. I do worry. Player to watch for United, Mason Greenwood. He's going to be chomping at the bit to build on his goal and assist against Brighton, where I thought he was very, very good. And I think people are massively overlooking this kid. And I think I'll be surprised to see him dropped. I do think there'll be rotation, but I'll get to that in a minute. He does have the opportunity to make the right wing spot his for the time being. Obviously, until someone is signed. Everyone thinking that's going to be Sancho, obviously. Currently has 6 goals in 6 starts in the Premier League this season, which I guess is all right. Playing against a vulnerable Bournemouth defence. Definitely should get on the score sheet if selected. My starting 11 is going to be as follows. I've gone with the same team that I tried to pick last week. And everyone that fucking moaned at me in the comments for dropping Matic, I wasn't dropping him. I was rotating him. And with Ole mentioning about rotation, I've gone with the exact same team. Brandon Williams again, because I think he deserves the opportunity. And McTominay again, because I want to protect Matic. I think Matic is vital to us. And even though I'm doing what I think Solskjaer should not do, or should be wary of at least, in terms of dropping Matic and bringing in Scott McTominay, fuck me, lads. If our midfield of McTominay, Bruno and Pogba isn't good enough to beat Bournemouth, what are we doing? Matic should have the night off here. And then you go for it with that forward 3. Hopefully Marcus gets in amongst the goals again. I think he's been very much part of a playmaker kind of role last couple of weeks. Tony Marshall up front. If he gets another hat-trick, happy days. And Mason Greenwood, obviously, on that right-hand wing. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's head over to the Patreon group and see what everybody's saying over there. Do I think we should rest Matic for the game? Yes. Should Bruno be our number 7? I don't really give a fuck about numbers, to be honest with you. So, whatever he's happy with. What even number is he? I don't even know what number he is. Is it 28? What? 18. Oh, yeah, Scholes' number. Yeah, it's more fitting than the last fucking occupant of that number. Bournemouth are in serious trouble and likely to get relegated. We're not always good against these teams with something to play for. Could it be one of those days, says Lewis? I do worry about that, to be honest with you. I do worry about the complacency in these sorts of games. Any players at Bournemouth I'd take for United squad, aside from Ake? I don't think King's the worst shout ever as a bottom choice forward. At all. Is it likely Brandon finally play, or does Ollie have more trust in Shaw? I've picked him. He says there's probably rotations, don't be surprised, so yeah. Who would I rest? Obviously I've gone with Matic and both Shaw, but I'm really torn on Marcus as well. Half of me thinks keep playing him through this, because he's never gone 6 months, and I think his timing just needs to come back. And half of me thinks, you know what, maybe give him another day off and bring him back a little bit. Do I think Mason Greenwood's ready to handle the pressure as a starter? Fuck yes. Oh my God, I've never seen anyone as calm. I thought Marcus was calm. Mason takes the piss with how calm he is. It's almost like he doesn't care. He's unbelievably calm. United 9 goals behind Leicester on goal difference is a failure to not take the chance to close that gap if we don't beat Bournemouth by at least 3 goals. You can only do what you can do. Ultimately, the points is what matters first. Was I right in thinking the head-to-heads matter more? Did someone tell us that? Is anybody in the office? Right, I think I'm on my own in here. All right, cool. No one's answering me. I did see someone mention something about the head-to-heads. I'd have to look into that. Because honestly, I don't know. I thought it was goal difference, but I could be wrong. I mean, I thought you couldn't have 5 subs and fucking water breaks in the middle of it and all the rest of it. And I thought VAR was meant to be for clear and obvious, but what the fuck do I know? Can Ole rest Bruno, start Pogba in a 10 and play midfield and Matic and Fred? Yeah, do you know what? I wouldn't actually be surprised to see Bruno dropped. I really wouldn't be surprised to see Bruno dropped. As long as Pogba starts, I think you could drop Bruno, yeah. Or rest Bruno, let's be real. He's not getting fucking dropped, is he? Bay to start ahead of Lindelof just to make a more physical presence in our box. I mean, yeah, if it's King, you'd expect that. With no Callum Wilson, you're going to expect someone a little bit more physical, but I think Maguire's more than capable of dealing with him. Marshall and Rashford both on 19. Predictions for both to finish. I think both have to get over 20, and I wonder if... hang on, someone's just messaged me here. Shaders, shout out. He says, head-to-head matters only after points and goal difference. Cheers, brother. How refreshing is it to see Bruno's attitude off the... I didn't answer that question then, did I? So, 22 and 23, but I don't know which way round. How refreshing is it to see Bruno's attitude off the pitch? Went out of his way to praise Scott and Fred off the Brighton game, as they're not playing as much, but pointed out they contributed loads to our unbeaten run. Elite mentality. Not only that, he's doing the extra training that you're seeing. We're going to go speak to that guy that he's doing some extra training with as well. And find out, just how good is he. That's what we're going to go check out. So, yeah, definitely. How important is it at least one of Matic, McTominay and or Pogba to play to combat the physicality of a big guy like Billing? I don't think... I mean, would you say that Newcastle team was very physical last week? Because I'm not sure I would. I don't know what's gone on with Bournemouth, to be honest. Very surprised to see them as bad as they are. They've been really bad. Volley saying Axel will be out to the end of the season. I'm worried he's already played his last game for United. No, because he does have a decent length on his contract, I believe. So I still think there's an opportunity for him, but not getting games is the issue. He's got to play. You don't develop unless you're playing games. He's got to play. If Ole goes to go for a diamond this game, do you think it would be the preferred... Who do I think would be the preferred front two given the current form? Now, that's actually a good question that you don't have a right answer to. Who does he think is going to be the number one? Who's the number two? Well, who's the playmaker? Who's the runner? I don't know. I don't know who I'd go with in that. I could make a case for every pair. I don't think there's a case for, out of Greenwood, Rashford and Marshall, I don't think there's a case for anyone to be dropped. And those go, well, Rashford's not scored since we come back. Okay, but I think his playmaking's been there. I think he's proven that with the assist that he's got. So... I don't know, That'd be very interesting to see if he did go with the diamond. Chance we could see an appearance for either Laird, Mengi or Ghana. The game is over at half-time or on the hour mark. You're definitely not going to see Laird. Ghana and Mengi, I know they've been training. You would assume they're closer to being in Ollie's plans, but No, I still don't think so. I think you might see them consistently on the bench, which leads me on to the next question. Do we think someone like Timbo might get a game? That might be the surprise that he's talking about. Someone like Timbo maybe getting half an hour. And I think it'd be really nice, actually, to see Timbo. It's been a while since we've seen him in a United shirt, isn't it? Greenwood hat-trick. Yeah. Does Bruno know anything about two-touch football? I don't think so. With the ability to use 5 subs, be enough to keep players fit so we can keep our strongest starting 11. Also, can we have a laugh at the Arsenal fan who tried to tell me that Saka is a more natural footballer than Greenwood? I mean, do you know what? Saka is a good player. It is a good idea, though. Just don't talk to Arsenal fans about football, because they wouldn't know a world-class player if you slapped him in the face with a dick. So, just avoid Arsenal fans when talking about football. It's been so long since they saw a good team that they don't really know what makes one anymore. Without getting too giddy, is it possible that, similar to Liverpool when they signed Alisson and Van Dijk, that we could get a couple of big names in the summer, then really press on and give City and Liverpool a run for their money? Squad depth is an issue, but I really don't think our best 11 is that far off. Unfortunately, squad depth is very important. I know Liverpool and previously Leicester didn't use too much in terms of rotation, but when you look at even things like at home against Liverpool this year, where we should have got the win, man. I'm not saying we were better than them, but we could have got the win, and we arguably should have got the win. in that game, Liverpool's three subs was an entirely different midfield, and they went from a very functional midfield to a bit more of a ball-playing midfield in the second half after United had a shitload of injuries. And that was what swung the game in their favour. Having the ability to swap out an entire section of the team, like, new midfield, here we go. That's invaluable, isn't it? And even though if you don't rate some of the players that highly, the fact that they've even got internationals or former internationals to bring on is fucking massive for us. So I think we're probably still a little bit away from that. But we're moving in the right direction. I think that's all you can say. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we are going in the right direction. Do I think Pogba has been playing better / more reliable with him not being the only creative spark in the team? Now we have Bruno. Exactly that. We said so many times, didn't we? Like, you cut the channel from from Pogba to Rashford, and there is no other creative outlet in the United team. That wasn't just plan A, that was every fucking page of the plan book. So, with having more options, that means now there's multiples when it comes to who you can bring, what they can do, how you carve the pitch up, and you're harder to defend against. Multiple options. Yeah, and I think that's the one. I think Pogba and Bruno are fantastic players. But I do think Pogba's adapted his game. If you look at what Pogba's role was in the United team at the first 2-3 months of Solskjaer's reign, it's very different to the role that you see Pogba taking up now. And his role that he's taking up now is a little bit more reminiscent of the role that we saw him taking up in the early days of Jose Mourinho, with that central sort of creative spark, Mkhitaryan, being kind of what Bruno was. And that's really where we saw quite a lot of 4-0 FC. So it's going to be interesting to see what the further developments and evolutions of this team are and where Solskjaer wants to strengthen. Because when I look at him trying to bring in, clearly, with Van der Beek and Grealish and Havertz and all the players that we're linked to, there's some sort of a number 10 that we're looking at. And I can't fully figure out in my head how and why and where that they get to fit in. That's what's going to be interesting to find out. But cheers for tuning in, as usual. Some big stuff happening next week, so make sure you keep it locked for all of those sorts of things. Make sure to subscribe. It isn't linked in the description, but if you just Google or just go to stretfordpaddockfc.com and click on store, you can check out the new away shirt there, which is for pre-order, or if you're a Patreon, check your emails, and you should have been given a link to go and directly order one from there, and a discount coupon as well, as a little reward for being a Patreon member. Or if you want to come and join the Patreon, you get the link to both. But cheers for tuning in. Check out the away kit. It's absolutely flying out. There's been more sales in any day than any of the home kit ones over this weekend so far with the away kit. It's fucking banging. Carbon and gold is the colour. I can't wait to see the lads run out in that. I can't wait to see them running out in the home shirt. But cheers for tuning in. Go check that out. Enjoy the game tomorrow. I'll be on Stretford Paddock for the watch along. Come and join us. I'll see you in the next one. Laters.